No, that's what I'm doing. Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Board of Estimate and Apportionment meeting. My name is Dr. Dorothy Clears, Chief City Auditor. We are joined by my colleague Chantal Foss, who is our new Deputy Chief City Auditor. As Chair Petros has transitioned.
Welcome.
And so Chantal has been with us, she transitioned from auditor to Deputy Chief City Auditor. We also have joining us, Deborah Kurtz, who is representing the Treasurer's Office. We have Joel Stetson sitting in for, Dee Grande, our Budget Director. And then we have our Council President, Corey Evans. The time is 1:32 p.m. and today's date is Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. All right, so we have a pretty lengthy agenda with 30 budget transfer requests, all of them coming from the Department of Rec and Youth and Workforce. And then one increased appropriation item. So we'll jump right in, starting with our colleagues from Rec. The first item is a transfer request in the amount of $162,000. They're seeking to transfer funds from the summer youth employment program account to two separate accounts. Their contracted services / recreation fields and operations in the amount of $138,000, and the other equipment / recreation field operations account in the amount of $24,000, with the purpose being to cover maintenance needed for the Plumery Sports Complex. The next item, I'll go through all of the items, and then if there are questions regarding one specific one, we'll continue.
Okay, thank you.
The next request is a request seeking to transfer $10,000 from summer help / summer youth employment program. Those funds would then be transferred into the office equipment summer youth employment program account to cover computer purchases for the summer youth employment program. And we confirm that these are laptops.
Correct.
Being purchased. The next request is a request in the amount of $20,000 being transferred from contracted services / recreation administration to office equipment / recreation administration. The purpose would be to cover the cost of new furniture for our Arbor Hill Community Center. I'm going to pause there to acknowledge that we have our Councilwoman, Sonia Frederick, who has joined us. Welcome. The next request is a request in the amount of $7,500. The request is to transfer those funds from temporary help / recreation facility operations to three separate accounts. Overtime / recreation aquatics operations in the amount of $1,500. Overtime / recreation center programming in the amount of $1,000, and social security / recreation aquatics operations in the amount of $5,000. The purpose being to cover wages for full-time staff members. The next request, Rec is seeking to transfer $50,000 from two separate accounts. The first is salary / recreation facility operations in the amount of $20,000, and temporary help / recreation facility operations in the amount of $30,000. That $50,000 will be transferred into temporary help / aquatics. This is to cover wages for temp help staff. The next request again from Rec seeking to transfer $10,000 from supplies and materials / recreation facility operations to supplies and materials / recreation field operations to cover supplies needed for the 2024 season. Is The next request is in the amount of $50,000 being transferred from salary / recreation center program to temporary help / recreation center program. The purpose being to cover wages for the temporary help staff. Those are the items from recreation. Are there any questions regarding those items?
Yeah, just the pulmonary complex, this is for maintenance, is that because they fixed the field or something? 138,
So we have Deputy Commissioner Raphael Tucker here. You're not sure, okay. Did they give us this? No.
Is it on the?
am I,
Yeah, but sometimes you'll include the actual form. And it may say something on the form, I don't know how well it was filled out.
Did I miss it?
So he just gave that, that's all that they gave. Yes.
So
I can forward the email chain, because I know that was between Gideon and a few others, but I should have access to it.
thank you. So, Council President Ellis, your question is this for field maintenance?
yeah, or what, yeah, 130, or is that maintenance of the future, it's 138, that's. That's,
A significant amount of money?
yes,
Okay. All right, so we'll follow up with you on that. Regarding, do you feel comfortable voting on this item?
yeah,
You do, okay.
yeah, I just want information on it,
Okay.
just in case somebody asks. Okay. That's it.
Because if you would like, we can get that information before we
Okay.
take the vote on the.
That's fine.
Okay. So. Yeah, you can follow up. This week. Okay, so we will keep moving forward.
Yeah, and
Yep.
just to add to that thought, I think it's a great question, Councilmember Ellis, I'm curious if that has to, is that because the safe roads measure what covered that cost now versus future someone else, or like what's that done?
With that, yeah.
Okay. Great question. All right, so we will move on to a request from Treasury. They are seeking to transfer $11 from salaries to postage to cover increase of annual postage costs due to the mailing of tax receipts in April. Any questions? Please.
It's just, usually we only mail receipts to properties that are paid by the property owners, not by the banks or escrow companies, but there is one to mail to everybody. And plus.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Well,
The next request is from the police department, seeking to transfer $221,181 from overtime reimbursable / New York State DCJS gift grant from that account. So those funds will be then transferred into two separate accounts. The first is the traffic services / New York State DCJS gift grant in the amount of $92,181. And the other equipment / New York State DCJS gift grant in the amount of $138,000. This is to cover intermediate digital intelligence expenses and other equipment. What they shared with us is that this is software for the cameras for two reasons. One is for traffic, so cameras that pick up license plates. And the other one is for, as they put it, high crime areas, so cameras that are located in some of our hotspot areas where we see a lot of crime. So that's what the
On top.
purchase is for. Any questions related to this item? All right, we'll keep moving. The next two requests are from our fire department. The first is a request to transfer $10,000 from apparatus parts / repair to supplies and materials. This is to replenish the supply account. The next is a request to transfer $10,000 from fees and services to office supplies and forms, again, to replenish the supplies account. Moving on, if there are no questions, to the Neighborhood Community Assist Program Department. They are seeking to transfer $3,500 from supplies and materials. Those funds will be transferred into two separate accounts. The first is office equipment. And this is for the Love Your Block program, in the amount of $2,500, and the supplies and materials ACDA Albany Community Development Agency account. So that's the $3,500 there. One to cover the Love Your Block office equipment purchases, and the second to reimburse ACDA. The next request, two requests are from water. The first is a request to transfer $70,000 from contracted services / transmission and distribution to motor vehicle expenses / transmission and distribution to cover upcoming motor vehicle expenses. The next is a request seeking to transfer $10,600 from supplies and materials / purification. And those funds will be transferred into two separate accounts: uniforms in the amount of $600 and supplies and materials in the amount of $10,000 to cover purchases related to uniforms and supplies. The next three requests are from youth and workforce. The first is a request in the amount of $325,000 from the contracted services workforce services account. Those funds will be transferred into the 10th Health Youth Workforce Service Development Account. This is related to the TANA, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families grant installment payments to cover youth and staff salaries. The next item is a request to transfer $3,768 from contracted services / youth workforce services administration. Those funds will be transferred into two separate accounts: salary / youth workforce services administration, that account in the amount of $3,500, and the social security / youth workforce services administration account in the amount of $268. Purpose being the TANF grant installment payments to cover again youth and staff salaries. Moving on to the last youth and workforce item, they are seeking to transfer $106,000 from Summer Health, Summer Youth Employment Program. That account, so those funds will be transferred from that account to three separate accounts. The first is office equipment / Summer Youth Employment Program to cover all of them to cover expenses for the Summer Youth Employment Programs enrichment, consultants, annual recognition events, and seasonal staff salaries. So $8,000 into the office equipment line. Contracted services, we're talking about $48,000, and then $50,000 going into the 10th Health account. Before we move on to DGS, we have Deputy Commissioner Raphael Tucker here. Are there questions related to the youth and workforce items? We're going to keep moving. The last item for budget transfer request comes from DGS, seeking to transfer $65,000 from contracted services / public works street maintenance. Those funds will be transferred into four separate accounts: contracted services / central maintenance in the amount of $20,000, supplies and materials / central maintenance in the amount of $30,000, miscellaneous / administration in the amount of $5,000, and contracted services / public work capital or alternate in the amount of $10,000. The purpose being to cover tree planting and pruning expenses, and we have Deputy Commissioner Zioli here who would like to say a few words.
Yeah, if I can just point out, I'm not perfect. Okay, and that's because if you take a look there, it says to cover tree pruning, which has nothing to do with this. It was a form that didn't get cleared out, so that was probably the previous road transfer we had to do. Just to explain, these are going into maintenance accounts, so central maintenance, the 1620 central maintenance, which is still in our budget at this point. A lot of moving going on, you know, the new engineering building, there's buildings, renovations, just anything that's going on, and so we're going a little over what we expected. So we're moving money into those accounts. That's what that is. And then Capitol Hills is just expenses, normal expenses that might be a little higher than they were budgeted to be. But it has nothing to do with trees. That was just a typo. So I wanted to bring that up. As you mentioned that, I'm like, no, it's not trees. I realized, I'm like, what the?
So to be clear, the first three items, including miscellaneous, those funds are for,
They're all just to cover expenses, regular expenses, right? That exceed the budget is really all they are. But the first two are essential maintenance, and a lot of that has to do with, there's just a lot of stuff going on with the move, the new engineering move, with just buildings in general. Things are happening that we didn't budget for, right? So, that's all that is,
Question,
Yeah.
does that 65,000 we're transferring from street maintenance, does that impact the anticipated, street repavings that are for this year?
Because all the street repavings are done out of bonded accounts. This is really more of your, we have a sidewalk shading program that we're starting. So that's where, we got a late start, so we're not gonna spend all of that money, so that's why I took it out of there. But no, it has nothing to do with any of the projects that are happening, the 22 PPSDs or all of the other contract 1 and 2 that are being done. It doesn't affect any of that. That's all bonded money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, thank you for the clarification. We will get this updated on the
I
agenda.
apologize. It's my form. I should have cleared it.
Do we have any additional information?
Yes, so they explained that they have a remaining balance for the landscaping for a landscaping contractor. And so that transfers to cover the remaining balance for the contractor. And they're also looking to purchase about 60 to 70,000 in small equipment. So that next year we can do all of the landscaping in-house and we don't have to work with contractors. So to cut costs.
Okay.
And I just didn't, I assume, I don't know if you have those answers, but the equipment is gonna be used not only for Pomeri, but other locations.
I'm thinking, because she did say that they would have training for the employees on how to use the equipment.
Oh,
So I'm guessing that is,
more than one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so it's to settle a balance with the contractor and then to purchase the equipment so that we can do that. Moving on to increase appropriation item, we have one for my office. We received a $10,000 sponsorship from the Warren Mackey Foundation to support our Ready, Set, Go Summer Youth Program, which kicks off in about 2 weeks, which we're excited about, when we host 9th, 10th, 11th graders for a week. So please pray for us who are into prayer. So this item notates that we have or will receive the $10,000. We've already received a check. So we'll see, of course, and we've already started to purchase items, so an increase on the expense side of another $10,000, and then subsequently an increase on the revenue side due to the funding, the sponsorship that we received. Any questions about this? All right, that concludes the agenda item. May I request a motion to approve the agenda
So moved.
with the amendments? We have a motion from Council President Ellis, second from Councilwoman Frederick. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will send out the amended final agenda. May I request a motion to conclude our meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Council President Ellis, second from Councilwoman Frederick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This concludes our meeting. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. I will turn the floor over to our lovely colleagues in the clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just.
I was going to volunteer. but-
We also get John Dawson kudos for her first agenda being a massive plan.
Very good.
That's
Not easy.
Okay, thank you. Today is Tuesday, August 6, 2024. I'd like to call to order the meeting for the Board of Contract and Supply. Today, present, we have Joe Stetson from the Budget Department, Deborah Perks from Treasury, Rob McGee, Corporation Council, Howard Gold, City Engineer, Frank Zioli. The following was offered on behalf of Albany Water Board, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bid on behalf of Albany Water Board for the following. This is for the Farrow Bush WTP aeration room renovation, HVAC contract only. Said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting held on Friday, September 6, 2024, at 1:30 p.m. And that each bidder is required to present the bid in a deposit equal to the amount of 5% of the total bid in the bid bond or certified check.
Mr. Gold offered the following, resolve the secretary to be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: maintenance contract for locksmith services for various city-owned buildings. Bids are to be received, said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, August 20th at 1:30 p.m. and that each bidder be required to present with the bid a deposit equal in amount to 5% of the total bid and a bond for.
The following was offered on behalf of Albany Water Board, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bid on behalf of the Albany Water Board, the 2024 enclave pipeline for sewer rehabilitation. Said proposals to be received by the board at a regular meeting held on Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. And that each bidder is required to present in a bid deposit equal to the amount of 5% in a total bid bond or certified check. We have some openings today. First project is the Albany Speed Humps 2024. The first bidder is from Peter Lee Road Contractor. Base bid is $609,000 zero. Bid bond is included. Next one is from the Castle Paving. $696,430. And a bid bond is included. Next one is from OH Striping Incorporated. Base bid is $882,195. Bid bond is included. Next one is from H&A Contracting Corp. Bid bond is included. Total base bid is $586,072. The next project is the Albany On-Call Striping 2024. We have submission from Straight Line Industries Incorporated. Base bid is $296,250. And bid bond is included. The next one is from K5 Corporation. The five. Base bid is $162,150. And bid bond is included. We had no submissions for the port resurfacing project. and no submissions for the heating, ventilations, and air conditioning repairs and maintenance. That concludes our agenda today. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes today's, all those in favor?
Aye.
That
No.
concludes today's agenda.
We want to stay here a little while longer.